New videos every day. I'm back with Dr. Griffin Cole, and we're talking about water fluoridation. Dr. Cole is a biologic dentist practicing here in Austin, Texas. He's also a board-certified naturopathic doctor, and he holds certification in integrative biologic dental medicine. So today I want to talk a little bit about water fluoridation in general all over the world. Can you just give us a little snapshot of what places have water fluoridation, what places have taken it out, what that story looks like?
Yeah, pretty much everywhere in this country, over 180 million Americans have water fluoridation. Worldwide, it's about 400 million. I can tell you that most, like 98% of Western Europe does not add fluoride to their water at all, and we have the exact same decay rate. So it's interesting when you compare and actually look at, studies that have looked at fluoridated versus non-fluoridated, that all the decay rates have been going down in general. And I think it's because, as you mentioned earlier, we know more about nutrition, we have better home care, we have better access to dentistry. So it has nothing to do with fluoride in the water. But there's been a lot of places that have dropped it. In fact, in the past decade, there's been the most cities and communities who have dropped it. Some of the larger ones would be Honolulu, Hawaii, which was years ago. But Calgary up in Canada, which isn't that long ago, a few years, that was huge. That's over 1 million citizens there. Locally around here, we've had quite a few just in the last year. Marble Falls had dropped it. I'm not sure how many citizens are there. It's not nearly the size of Austin, but it's a decent-sized town. Lago Vista, which is a smaller sort of a small town attached to Austin, they just did it about 6 months ago, just dropped it. College Station, which is where Texas A&M is, they turned it off. There's been several. San Antonio and San Diego would be probably the two largest, newest ones. San Antonio 10 years ago added it after fighting it for many years, and San Diego just last year or maybe a year and a half ago. And that was a long, hard battle to keep it out. And that may, I think, still be overturned at some point. But pretty much every large city and many, many small ones are fluoridated.
So we've talked in previous videos about some of the dangers of water fluoridation, and I really want to talk about, what's going on in Austin. Can you give us a little background on, are we getting any closer? Have we had any big jumps? And what are things that people can do to get involved if they're in Austin?
So Austin is probably the city that we're hearing the most about lately, because we're really mounting a pretty good fight here. There was a few people who formed a group called Fluoride Free Austin about 3 years ago, and I joined on very early because I liked their position. It's very organized. We're now probably well over a couple hundred members, but it started off very small. Just small groups of us used to meet at Casa de Luz and talk about our strategy, and it's now grown. We are, if you get a grassroots effort going like we're doing now, we've got a website, which is fluoridefreeaustin.com. But if you get a small group together and you start meeting with council members, trying to find a champion on the council, providing them with science, showing up at all the city council meetings and at least trying to share your viewpoint, trying to set up actually organized talks, he said, she said debates, things like that. That's when you start getting the word out. Now here in Austin, where we're pretty much a green town, although I think this is one big strike against us, this would be the icing on the cake. If we could get this stopped, I believe there would be a chain reaction that would happen nationwide, because other cities would be like, well, if Austin's doing it, we should do it as well. So I think we could really start something huge here, and we're working on it. We're on a lot of videos now. We've met with council members. We've now got a champion from our own group who's running for city council, and that's Laura Presley. She's a chemist. She's extremely knowledgeable on this topic. Smart lady, very organized, and will make a wonderful council member. If that happens, we've now got a champion on council. I think things will roll our way. So keeping our fingers crossed on that.
Okay. Now, I know recently they were looking at just trying to have a line added on to our water bills informing people that the water contains fluoride. Can you give us an update on that?
Yeah, that didn't turn out the way we wanted it to. That was our request, was just to put a warning on every water bill saying that, if you have children or infants, you should try to avoid using tap water to make their formula or to provide them drinks. And we thought that was a nice compromise because we weren't turning it off, but we were saying let's at least warn the most affected subgroup. And of course, a lot of dentists came out against that, said, well, if you do that, that's going to scare people into saying, well, then maybe I shouldn't drink it either, which was our intention. But I think what happened is it's on the website, it's on the city's website, and I think what the final thing was that they would put it out one time a year again, I think on the website, not on a printed actual bill, warning them. But that's not what we wanted. We wanted it on every bill. So one loss there.
Interesting. Well, yeah, I definitely can say there's probably not a whole lot of people that visit the City of Austin website, but hopefully that'll be a win that we can count among soon. Now, in the previous video where you talked about some of the specific dangers of fluoride, you mentioned that there aren't necessarily real acute effects that people may experience. It's more long-term effects and issues like that. So sometimes people will have the argument, oh, fluoride is so bad for me, then, why am I not dead yet? Could you speak to that a little bit at all, and maybe a little bit to, if fluoride is so bad, why is it still in our drinking water?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I hear that with a lot of things in dentistry. If mercury is so bad, how come I'm not dead today from it? And all these things are long-term exposure, accumulated effects. Fluoride, though, or at least water fluoridation is an issue that you always want to ask, why is it being done? Why won't people just turn it off? And I think that there's always a conflict of interest because it is backed by the CDC, and most cities, including ours, gets funding from the CDC for lots of programs. So if we're getting millions of dollars every year from the CDC to study, say, smoking cessation or whatever, you can't really come out against water fluoridation because that's going to cut your funding. So I think that's one of the issues. In addition to that, this is something that we've been promoting again since the mid-'40s. And I think it, much like with lead and asbestos and DDT and smoking, it takes a long time and a lot of harm before something finally happens. And we're now getting there with water fluoridation, with the modeling of the teeth and other things that are showing up now. A lot of studies showing all the systemic effects. We're getting there, but we're not deep enough yet to make them that scared. So we've got to make some strong efforts here to get it out in our own community, and then hopefully that'll spread out elsewhere.
So can you just maybe direct us to your website and any other references that you think would be useful for people who want to learn more about water fluoridation and maybe what they can do about this issue?
Sure. Mine is just griffincole.com, GRIFFINCOLE.com. Fluoridealert.org, I think, is the best site. Fluoridealert.org, O-R-G. That's the site where you'll find this and just everything, the history of it, the science of it, showing both sides. There's videos, there's everything on that website. The IAOMT.org is also a great website. IOMT stands for the International Academy of Oral Medicine and Toxicology.org. Great website, a great resource. Talks a lot about fluoridation in that and why we as a worldwide group are against it. Other than that, you could just easily Google it and you'll probably find a ton of things on it. And keep in mind, too, the source of what you're looking at. So if you go online and you type in fluoride, either fluoride or water fluoridation, and you find something positive about it, find out where the source is, because it's either going to be organized dentistry or it might be CDC backed. It's not going to be from a toxicologist. It's not going to be from a medical school. It's not going to be from, some kind of consumer group. It's going to be probably that. So you got to consider the source when you're seeing something that's positive about it.
So thank you so much for all of that information, and I hope that you guys will subscribe to our channel so that you can see our future videos. Be sure to leave any comments with any questions that you have. Be sure to give us a thumbs up, and I hope to see you again soon.